I don't like the Sims community. I think it's full of very horrible people.
I got a lot of harassment because I didn't like the pack.
Like, I hate all the negativity.
Everywhere you look, it is negativity, complaints, drama, disappointment.
Seeing everyone being so like rage-filled causes me a lot of stress.
Do you guys like realize how demented that is?
Anadius just vanished, completely disappeared. A single tweet, all done, have fun playing the game, smiley face.
Going to war for The Sims 4 is like being a Starbucks stan, you know? Is it really worth all that effort for something that's way overpriced, never as good as it looks, and is probably going to kill you? It's actually hard to find a gaming community where the players are so passionate about a game that is so painfully mediocre. Sims players are God's gift to capitalism, honestly. I mean, who else would spend over $1,000 on a game that is consistently broken? Simmers will. Bullying, hate campaigns, harassment, death threats, these are nearly everyday occurrences in the Sims community. And it's no secret at this point that the Sims community is notoriously toxic. But how did we get here? How did the Sims become an echo chamber of toxic positivity, where people are threatened if they criticize this game? And can anything be done to save the Sims? A few months ago, the Sims community lost an icon. Yes, he was a sailor, he loved Chips Ahoy cookies, and like every great man, his life's mission was to find the booty.
Yup.
His name was Anadius. I don't know how to describe this guy. He was a modder. Some might say he was Robin Hood because he stole from the big bad EA and gave the people free access to DLC. A man of the people, he was loved and adored. But important note here, from my understanding, Anadius was not a Sims player. He just really disliked EA, the company. So he created free versions of The Sims that he subsequently made available to the public for free, again. But he didn't do this because he was a fan of The Sims and he was not a member of the Sims community per se, but because The Sims is an incredibly expensive game that now costs over $1,500 US. Anadius was very popular in the Sims community. He gave people access to this very pricey game for free, and he didn't ask for anything in return. You didn't have to donate or give him any money. He was doing all of this for free. But remember, he was dealing with a lot of stans within the Sims community, and every single time a new DLC dropped, he would be bombarded with a bunch of comments from people asking, "Hello, where's the new DLC? Where's my game?" You can imagine how frustrating that might be to take time out of your life to do something for people, and those people are now treating you like their personal servant. It's like each time a new DLC was released, these Sims stans were putting on a fuck-ass Karen wig and thought they were just waltzing into their local GameStop ready to berate the poor employee there and cause a scene. That's literally how they treated this guy. The sheer entitlement demonstrated by some of these players was insane. So understandably, there were moments where Anadius responded to these impatient and entitled Sims fans rather harshly, we'll say. And I'm using quotes here because I don't think he was harsh at all, to be honest. For instance, I remember this one interaction between Anadius and a Sims fan that kind of blew up online. This happened last year. Anadius tweeted, "Businesses and hobbies released," meaning he had updated his service and people can now get this new expansion for free using his unlocker. Somebody replied to this tweet in all caps, writing the word, "Finally."
Y'all kill me with these vague fucking statements. What you trying to say?
To which Anadius said, and I quote, "People like you who don't know how clocks work are the fucking worst. I'm not going to mention every idiot asking when the pack drops or posting that I finally added it, so you'll do as an example for them all. It wasn't even 2 minutes after the release date, so shut the fuck up." Now, clearly, this is something that Anadius had been dealing with for years, multiple times a year. People would actually pester him about the new DLC and where it was before it was even released. So you can imagine how all that frustration must be festering in him after dealing with it and putting up with it for so many years. But the Sims girlies on Twitter, and I'm referring to the Sims stans here, they saw this interaction and proceeded to make 1,000 posts hating on Anadius. Multiple people were calling him a piece of shit and saying he was a bully and unprofessional and rude. This tweet, for instance, got 10,000 likes and it said, "Sorry, but there's something genuinely blatantly wrong with Anadius. Another person commented, and I quote, "I say we report his account and website. He needs to be in prison because he promotes piracy."
What?
The fuck is wrong with these people? I think I even saw a comment from someone who said they were reporting him to the FBI. But this behavior is the Sims community in a nutshell. And by the way, the irony of people saying, "Oh my god, he's so mean and negative." Meanwhile, what they're saying about him is 10 times worse. You can't complain that someone's being a big ol' meanie head while you call them a piece of shit mentally ill asshole. You're 50 times worse than him if that's how you respond. Could Anadius be harsh in some of his replies? Sure. But keep in mind that this comment was one of thousands of comments he's received saying the exact same thing. Like I said, he probably got comments like this on a daily basis from people who were impatient and entitled and acting like they were owed his time. Mind you, again, he was doing all of this for free. It was not his job to teach anyone how to use his DLC unlocker, and he definitely did not have to put on a friendly customer service attitude every time he interacted with someone. That's ridiculous. Anyway, a few months later, Anadius announced that he's retiring and that he wouldn't be updating his DLC unlocker anymore. This news made headlines. There's this tweet, for instance, and it says, "The creator of the Sims 4 updater that lets players access $1,500 worth of free DLC has quit and taken the loader offline." This tweet, by the way, has 8 million impressions. That's like Taylor Swift type shit. This news shook the Sims community. Later on, Anadius did say that it wasn't because of these annoying, entitled Sims players that he quit, and I believe him when he says that. I have no reason not to believe what he says, but I also do not doubt that it was frustrating for him and probably not worth the time and effort and stress it took to constantly provide this free service to people who were clearly ungrateful and treated him like shit. Like, imagine you're providing hundreds of dollars of free stuff to people and those people turn around and call you unprofessional when you don't treat them with the kindest, nicest customer service attitude. This is not your local Wendy's, Karen. Fuck off. I even saw this video recently, like a YouTube short, where someone was saying, "You know what? I'm glad Anadius quit because he was so mean to everyone."
Everyone in the Sims community right now is talking about how Anadius has quit permanently. I just feel like he kind of brought a part of the misery onto himself because I know that he has a track record of being really rude.
And I'm just like, sometimes people are unpleasant, sometimes people are stressed and they react in a not so polite way. That doesn't mean we have to banish them to fucking Hades. And you can ask any Sims CC creator or modder and they will tell you similar stories to this, dealing with these people who treat you like you are their servant. And yes, a handful of people acting like that is not unexpected. But to me, it's the way these players will just all gang up on one person at the same time that's totally unnecessary and unproductive. This is cyberbullying, by the way. I don't like throwing around the bullying word so casually, but when you have 100 or more people coming after you at the same time, that is bullying. So I saw this really fascinating video recently where this guy was talking about how music criticism has kind of softened over the years due to one thing in particular, stan culture.
I want to talk about how everything is stan culture now. Over on Twitter, people were talking about this article, how music criticism lost its edge, over at The New Yorker. I highly recommend it. It was really good. And this person, Dystopian Dream Girl, said that because everything is now sort of under the mandate of you have to be nice or people are going to attack you, it has sort of softened the way that music critics talk about music.
He explains that more and more in recent years, music critics are afraid to give their honest opinions about artists because they fear backlash from their crazed fans.
The way that stan culture has affected everything is really, really insidious and like weird, right? There is this idea that if you criticize them, you are a hater or anti-feminist or you just don't understand joy or let people enjoy things, right? And the fandoms are quite famous for being very mobilized and very angry, right? They descend upon you. They say you are never, ever, ever allowed to criticize this thing. It is very, very scary to like say what you feel on the internet.
I'm sure many of you have witnessed a rabid Taylor Swift or BTS fan going absolutely feral when someone gives the most minor criticism of their music. When I saw this video, it really reminded me of the Sims community. But instead of these players standing an actual artist, they're standing a $40 billion video game company. Yes, it's just about as crazy as it sounds. But it's the reality of the situation. The Sims 4 recently announced its 105th DLC, and as with every video game release, people have opinions about it. Some players love this idea of a royalty pack and others absolutely hate it. Such is life. People have opinions. But in the Sims community, it is different. Because if you criticize The Sims 4, that's on par with being in the Epstein files.
Oh, that's no. In the sense that, you know what I mean? Like, but I'm saying that.
In the comment section of the trailer for this new DLC, you can find several comments like this one, which says, "The Sims community is so negative. Like, it's actually exhausting. This pack looks so fun." You can find ones just like this on every YouTube video or Reddit post or tweet or TikTok, where Sims players are complaining that everyone is being too negative.
Everywhere you look, it is negativity, complaints, drama, disappointment, arguments. I must be part of the 1% of players that actually love the game.
I firmly believe that there are more people in the Sims community who are complaining about people complaining about the game than there actually are people complaining. What the hell did I just say?
Like, I hate all the negativity, because criticism is valid, but like seeing everyone being so like rage-filled causes me a lot of stress. It like makes me nervous.
There's even a Sims subreddit that strictly prohibits any type of negativity or criticism. This is a space where the toxic positivity bubble can flourish and players can bake a cake made out of rainbows and sunshine, far out of reach of the negative, evil haters. But how in the hell did we get here? Well, I believe that EA and the Sims team have intentionally cultivated the Sims community to be just like this, where criticism is severely punished and everyone is expected to be extremely positive. Where if you criticize The Sims 4, you're a hater and you're ruining the game for everyone and you're negative and toxic and a rage baiter. My bad, I thought I was reading my own comments there for a second. I believe this toxic positivity mindset took root around the time of The Sims 4's release. At this time, criticism of the game had reached its peak. We're all familiar with how things were when The Sims 4 was released. At launch, it was missing a bunch of stuff and everyone was really angry and upset. But what I find interesting is how the Sims team responded to this. They didn't acknowledge the game's shortcomings. They didn't talk about the problems. Instead, they pretended that they didn't exist. Call it manipulation or good PR, but the Sims team carefully reshaped every criticism into something positive. One of the major criticisms, for instance, was about these small closed worlds that were introduced in The Sims 4 compared to The Sims 3, which had these massive open worlds. But according to the Sims team, the way The Sims 4 did it wasn't bad at all. In fact, it meant the neighborhoods were more vibrant and alive than ever before.
Is there a specific reason why the open world was changed into these little neighborhoods rather than completely free world open?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question, and I think we felt like we ended up in a fantastic place. It makes everything much more vibrant, believable, and active.
But when players got their hands on the game and realized that this excuse was absolute bullshit, the Sims team responded to this negativity with threats. They said if people didn't buy The Sims 4 and the upcoming DLC, then the franchise would end. Yes, that is actually what they said. They responded to valid feedback with threats and manipulation. I believe this ecosystem that they cultivated at the beginning of The Sims 4's release and onwards is what has shaped the Sims community to be the absolute monstrosity that it is today. Sims players were programmed into believing that if they didn't accept what they were given and if they complained too much, then they would stop getting anything at all. And we have seen this all or nothing mindset permeate the player base itself. Thus, for many people in the Sims community, there's no room for nuance. There's no middle ground. It's either you shower the game with diffusive praise, or you're just a negative hater who needs to leave. You gotta put that meme in there, Malcolm. Look, just to be clear here, I know I'm not beating the hater allegations, but this was a Sims 3 channel for 2 years straight. I spent a lot of money on The Sims 4. I have over 1,000 hours in that game. I am a Sims fan. I love this franchise myself, and I don't want to generalize about everyone who's a Sims player, but in this case, I'm not talking about the normal players. I'm talking about the Sims stans, and they can be a lot to deal with. And I'm not going to get into a whole woe is me, but I can say something in a video, for instance, instance, like last week, I made a thruple joke, a throwaway thruple joke in a video, and people went on Twitter and twisted that joke into, oh my god, Malcolm said he wants to get Lil Simsy drunk and sexually assault her. Yes, that is the level of insanity we are dealing with. I never said anything about sex or anything sexual, and I never said anything about getting someone drunk. But people twisted what I said and took this innocuous thruple joke and used it to malign me all across Sims Twitter. Imagine telling someone to off themselves over a thruple joke. It's absolutely insane the way people in this community act. And from my experience, I do believe that the Sims community wants to have a villain. They always need to have somebody that they can just hate. And sometimes that person was Anadius, sometimes that person is me, sometimes it's Satch on Sims, and other times on several occasions it was FakeGamerGirl. I'm sure you all know who she is. FakeGamerGirl was incredibly popular in the Sims 4 community. She was a YouTuber with around 400,000 subscribers, and at the peak of her channel's popularity during COVID times, I think it was, her videos were getting millions of views each. She was so popular, but FakeGamerGirl was very different from your typical Sims creator. Because unlike the majority of Sims 4 content creators at the time, she wasn't affiliated with EA, and she also wasn't the super positive, happy-go-lucky YouTuber. She wasn't the usual, oh my god, I'm gonna faint and fall on the floor every time a Sims 4 DLC is announced type of creator. Which, to be honest, for the last decade, most Sims 4 YouTubers have been just like that. When you think about it, actually, the Sims 4's player base and its tendency to be super positive and to rebuke negativity is also reflected in the content creators for this game. This is why 95% of Sims YouTubers are extremely positive. But what set FakeGamerGirl apart was the fact that she was super honest about the game's flaws. She wasn't this Disney princess, I love everything type of creator, and I think that authenticity really resonated with people in this community who weren't living in the toxic positivity bubble. So every time a new Sims 4 expansion was released, FakeGamerGirl would review it. And as the quality of the DLC started to decline, her reviews naturally reflected that. More often than not, she would spend more time criticizing aspects of DLC than praising them, because that was the reality. The quality of the Sims 4 DLC has rarely, if ever, been up to par, and I would honestly say it's never been worth the price, especially for expansions, and this is obvious to anyone who's ever played any game besides The Sims. But as you can imagine, FakeGamerGirl's candor and brutal honesty also made her a target. At one point, she made a video saying she would be boycotting any future Sims DLC, to which Sims fans responded by saying she was too negative. One person wrote, "The hate is so overwhelming and I'm personally sick of it on every platform that I open." Of course, the title of her video is rage bait.
At the same time, when I released the Life and Death pack review a couple of weeks ago, I got a lot of harassment because I didn't like the pack. And so half of the people were calling me an EA shill because I continued to play the game, even though I like it. I don't know how many times I have to say that. And then the other half of people were calling me a hater and that I should play something else because I obviously hate The Sims 4 because I didn't like the pack that they like.
A few months later, FakeGamerGirl announced that she would be quitting her YouTube channel indefinitely. In her final, now deleted video, she stated that she received an inordinate amount of hate, death threats, bigoted comments, etc., all because she refused to praise a game that she didn't believe was deserving of praise. She stated that these experiences had taken a toll on her mental health, and that's why she was done making Sims videos. FakeGamerGirl was incredibly talented. She's not dead, she's still alive. She is incredibly talented, and her presence is missed, but most importantly, this exact situation is exhibitive of how the Sims community pushes out people who are critical of this game. I believe there's a reason why there are so few Sims creators who are actually talking about the real issues with this game. And it is because there is a massive toxic positivity problem within the Sims community, and you will get dogpiled and a ton of hate and death threats if you talk about these problems. I've lost count of how many times I've had Sims 4 fans tell me I should off myself. They're not rational, logical people, and these are also grown-ass adults, by the way. They're not teenagers, they're adults acting like this. By the way, forgive me if you think I'm off with this observation, but I've noticed even the Sims creators who were known historically specifically for being quite critical have actually softened in recent months or years. Satch on Sims, for instance, has always been known for being extremely vocal about his criticisms of The Sims 4, but I've noticed, and I know some of you have noticed too based on comments, that he has become exceedingly more positive.
I mean, it seems like a lot of people are actually excited for The Sims 4 Royalty Legacy. Am I excited? Honestly, I think I am for once, you know?
It's fascinating to see that happen. I don't know if that's being done on purpose, if he's trying to fill a void in the Sims community. Maybe he's worried about views, because I know the buyout kind of shook up a lot of people and made them realize that, oh wait, maybe this is a threat to my job and my income. Satch on Sims was vilified for being this, quote, rage bait hater, all because he gave what I perceive to be as very valid criticism of EA and The Sims, but now it kind of feels like he's switched up a bit. Perhaps there isn't any place for creators who are critical of The Sims, or maybe it's just easier for them to acquiesce and stop speaking so honestly just because they don't want to deal with the hate. The truth of the matter is, this isn't exactly a welcoming community. I do think, as I was saying earlier, that Sims 4 creators specifically, and modders and CC creators like this guy, Sacrificial, for instance, I think they are naturally very threatened by people who criticize this game, because if somebody watches one of my videos or somebody else and they're persuaded to stop supporting EA and paying for DLC, this affects the bottom line of the Sims 4 creators who do pack reviews and the Sims creators who make CC and mods. So it's not just hard to have players coming at you, it's also stressful to have other creators viewing you as a threat and taking out their frustration on you. But welcome to the Sims community. So what, if anything, can be done to fix this? I kind of always thought that more competition within the life sim genre would fix the toxic positivity problem. But after Inzoi was released and seeing how that community has the exact same problems as the Sims community, which is ironic because a lot of them left the Sims community because they didn't like it, but now they've created the exact same ecosystem with Inzoi. I'm not really sure that having more life sim games is the solution. Sure, it wouldn't hurt to have some simulation games that are actually really good and that people universally praise and enjoy, but I'm not sure that would be enough to solve these deep-rooted issues in the Sims player base. Regardless, what I do know is that in order to resolve a problem, we have to first acknowledge it. So I hope that by talking about how bad things have gotten in the Sims community, we can begin to call out this behavior when we see it. It's not okay to gang up on people who express criticism of a video game. That should be obvious to any decent human being, but alas, if you criticize a video game, it also doesn't mean you're attacking the devs. These are paid employees who are doing their job and they need feedback. And it's also not bullying or harassment to call out gaming creators who lie and manipulate people on behalf of a game company. Feel free to send this video to your local Sims 4 stan. I'm sure they will love it. And you know what? If all else fails, I think the new Saudi owners will do a great job of destroying the Sims. So, remember the Epstein joke I made earlier? You may have thought, oh, that's out of pocket. But looking at this, they want to lock this guy up for the rest of his life over the Sims. So, in the sense that,
you know what I mean? Like, what I'm saying.
Let's set the roof on fire. Step by step, raise the whole room higher. Pick up your step, don't try hard. Down, up, down, like a boom bap choir. Turn out the beat, raise up the heat. Kick up your feet like this, like that. Word on the street says you got the heat, so let's see you move like this, like